Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. In this video we will be showing you how we make our homemade salsa. So these are our early girl tomatoes and one of our favorites that we like to grow here in Zone 10B. They are a determinate variety and we planted these in early spring, and throughout the season we picked them and froze them. We don't always wait until our tomatoes completely turn red. We would normally just pick most of our tomatoes when the blushing process starts. And this variety did well for us this growing season. So this would be a typical daily harvest for us. So as we're actually outside just picking tomatoes, we will go ahead and just harvest whatever was ready at that particular time. So this day we did have the green beans, the black-eyed peas, and the tomatoes. And here are our tomatoes. Once we stick them in the freezer, nothing special. We just core the inside of the tomatoes and toss them in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer. And of course, we have to let these sit out until they ripen. I would normally just let the tomatoes just sit on a counter in the kitchen or on our table on our porch and just let them ripen in that fashion. Then I'll, like I said, core them and freeze them. And here is one freezer with a couple of bags of our tomatoes. And here we are today. We are getting ready to make our homemade salsa. So I had to go in my freezers and pull out some bags of tomatoes. This is not all of them, but this is majority of our tomatoes. So we're going to just put all of these tomatoes inside of this big canning pot right here and just put some water in it and let it sit until it's time to peel the skins. By the tomato being frozen and then sitting in water, it allows the skin to easily peel off of the tomatoes. So while the tomatoes are soaking, I'm going to prep the other ingredients. And the onions did not come out of our garden. We haven't had success at growing bulb onions to this size in our garden just yet. And I'm going to put those aside, but the peppers came out of our garden. So I'm going to go ahead and chop these up and mix these peppers with our onions. So that's our banana peppers and candy cane peppers, and we have some bell peppers in there. So I'm just mixing those up and I'm gonna just blend everything together. I will be making 2 batches of salsa. The first batch will just have jalapeños in it and maybe a few cayenne peppers, but that's it. And the tomato skins will not go to waste. I'm not going to just toss them in the trash. I will be keeping all the tomato skins in a Ziploc bag. And then once I'm finished with all the tomatoes, I will be adding all the skins into the dehydrator and then turn it into a tomato powder. So once I'm finished with that, I'll show you guys the finished result of that. The skins peel right off. Start peeling right off of them. And of course, these are how the tomatoes look once you peel the skin off of them, and these tomatoes are still frozen. I process all the tomatoes until they have a crushed consistency. I really don't like the super chunky tomatoes in my salsa. I would definitely put the recipe in the description, but I'm making a large batch, guys, for my family. I have a large family, of course, and I need enough to last at least a year. We're at the bottom of the pot here, and the tomatoes have softened, but the skin comes off just the same.
So this is a family recipe, and my mom forgot to record, so I'm recording for her right now. I'm gonna mix, just mixing. And this is the pot we're making it in. It's a big pot. I'm gonna just start.
And your dad wanted spicy, so we have to add some more hot peppers to it. Oh. Just 2? I do better. Just 2 peppers? Oh.
I do not know what you want.
Dad, you gotta say something.
What's up? If you love God, say amen.
Amen.
If And if you trust God, say amen. And if he gives to you, say amen. Say amen. Say amen. Deuces, y'all. Thank you. Hey.
Try not to get too much of the background.
You guys peppers?
Is it cooking?
Where's it? Yeah. Go to the dishwasher.
No, you guys gonna taste.
Yeah, they have to be hand washed.
Dad's gonna taste it with me.
I ain't tasting nothing.
Yes, you are.
You can't.
I think it's.
She be trying to cook, y'all.
Dad, I'm literally doing what Mom tells me to do.
I had
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
Taste it.
Let me see. Let me see.
Taste it.
Ow, it's hot.
No, it's not.
Dad, you wanted it, so you gotta wait for me.
You got a little bit more spice? You gotta let it cook a little bit. Plus, it's gonna cook again once I get ready to can it.
Nope.
You don't taste it yet?
No, I like it. I'm talking about the spice.
So, you may add a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't burn my lips off now. Let's start recording.
Now, this is our first batch, and it's gonna be just the regular mild salsa. My second batch, I'm adding more hot peppers to it, and it definitely will be a spicier one. I will be water bath canning all of my salsa, and what I do is I just wait until the water actually starts to boil, and then I set my timer. You will want to make sure that your water actually has a rolling boil just like this here before you start your timer. Once everything is completed, let your pot cool down and make sure you use your jar lifter to take the jars out of the water, because the water is hot. It's really hot, guys. You don't want to burn yourself. And just let your jars sit on the counter until they cool down, and you want to let them sit for at least 12 to 24 hours before you take the rings off and check the lids. And as I'm taking these out, I have my next batch, which is the spicy salsa, ready to be jarred and water bath can also. And here's the finished product. This is homemade salsa. I forgot to record certain steps with the mild salsa, so I'm going to show you those steps that I missed with my spicy salsa. In here, I'm just showing you how I check the lids to make sure that it had a nice seal. You just take the rings off like this, and you lift the jar by the lids, and that will let you know if you had a perfect seal. If you did not have a perfect seal, that lid would just pop right off. It'll just slip right off. And I labeled all of these salsa so my family knows that this is the mild one, and the other one I will label it spicy salsa. And this is my second batch, and this is the spicy salsa. So with this one, I have one ghost pepper, a couple of habaneros, and a lot of jalapeños in this one, with the same ingredients as the mild salsa. And as you can see, you just clean the rims of all the glasses. Make sure that there's no chips or anything. Put the lids on them and tighten the rings on. Y'all, I'll be honest, I don't finger tighten my jars. I tighten my jars and I never had an issue. And just make sure your water is over your jars in your pot, and just repeat the steps of water bath canning. And here is the next day. I'm labeling my spicy salsa, and I'm going to add these into our other pantry with the mild salsa. If you guys have any questions about any of the steps, or if you have a question about my recipe, please feel free to ask your questions. I will be glad to help you. And this time around, I've made so much salsa that I definitely have enough to last a year. And we also gave some to our neighbors. We exchange or barter with our neighbors. Our neighbors give us some eggs or honey, and then we'll give them some of the food that come out of our garden, such as right now, the salsa. So whenever I make batches of salsa, or we have our bananas, which will be ready soon. We give those to our neighbors, and then our neighbors will give some stuff that they have growing or have in their yards. Y'all, it is so important that you preserve your own food and make sure that you start stocking up in the food that you grow in your garden, or that you buy from farmers, or from a farmer's market, or even a grocery store. Start stocking up and preserving your own food. It is so important. I hope that this video helps you guys and inspire you guys to make your own food and preserve your own food. Make sure you subscribe. It helps out our channel. Thanks, guys.